Omaha. And, hey, by the way, Peyton Manning is actually in the building watching this game, so that just gives you a little bit of incentive to stick around to take a look at this one. So let's take a look at some highlights. The Joker, coach on the block.
Yeah, just going to overpower him. You know, he's nice. But you know what? That guy, his ability to see this floor in small areas is really amazing. I mean, there's been guys like him before, Bill Walton and Sabonis and stuff like that. But he's as good as anybody in those small little area passes.
And the difference with say he and Walton, like Walton was great facing up or back, but he's great off the dribble.
Yeah.
At making those same kinds of plays. Like he can put it on the floor. I mean, he's an incredible passer.
You see how hard they cut when he has the ball, his teammates, because you know, you cut that hard, good things are going to happen for you. And you know, again, you look at this Toronto team, you know, they're undermanned, and they keep on battling. Yeah, the big fella, just that little drop-off. You play with him, boy, keep your hands up, because he's going to find you.
Jeremy Grant was 16 in the game. Jokic has a triple-double. He has 23, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists so far, and there's still game left to play so far. Yeah, I mean, just impressive.
Yeah.
Denver, they got mollywopped the other night by the Clippers, the biggest loss of the season, getting beat down by 20-plus. What do we like about Denver? Because we know it's a young roster, but just looking at the way they're constructed, is it time for them to take that next step, and can they take that next step?
Well, I like him. I really do. I think Jokic is tremendous. I think and I like their wings. But to me, they're missing something, and I don't know what it is. And, like, all year long, I've been waiting for them to explode and, like, have a 17-1 run of 18 games, you know, Denver. And every time I think they're, like they're right on the cusp of making a big thing, they get beat down like the Clippers going to slap them around. So I don't know, but I really like them, and I want to like them more than I'm liking them.
I do like them. I just the reality is they're a great player. I mean, look at the top four teams in the Western Conference. You got the Lakers, Clippers, Denver, and Houston. What does those other three teams have that Denver doesn't have?
Star player.
No.
Superstar.
They have two of them.
Yeah. Who's the second guy?
Who's the second guy?
They have
on
two
the Denver
superstar players that can carry you by themselves for a game, and they can do it against great defense.
Right.
And that's the difference with Denver. They don't – Jokic has gotten to the point now. Jokic, I think, is at the point where he is you know, I think he's gotten to that level. And we thought maybe Murray would take that step, but they don't have that other guy. And so at the end of the day, that's really the difference. The Clippers got two guys that can basically carry their team. Actually, and you could say three, because Lou Williams.
I was just going to say, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell coming off that bench are just a big problem. They get to 38 points, 37 points.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Lakers obviously in Houston, that's what they don't have.
To me, Jamal Murray's got to be there. And Jamal Murray's had a great last month or so. He's really been shooting the ball. If he catches fire and just plays with that, you know, I'm a great player mentality. I'm going to take big shots. I'm helping this team, you know, and there'd be a problem. But with the way they pass the ball and the way they move, nobody wants to play them in the playoffs. I promise you. And you know, and that altitude in Denver is still there, even in the playoffs. It's still really, really high.
Talked about Jamal Murray, who averaged 23 and 5 assists in the month of February. Gary Harris knocking that one down. He has 13 in the game, 3 for 3 from downtown, 1 minute remaining in this game right here. Jokic, how about this pass, though?
I know. You know what? You know what's amazing about that, what you really like? He was going to throw that pass the minute he got it. You see that? Like, he knew he getting that rebound. He was throwing that pass down the floor. Again, just a face cut. The guy turns his back. You get out in front of him, and he'll find you. Ooh, he's giving him... look at the spin. Right hand.
What do they say? Put the English on it?
Yeah, the English. Yeah. And that's the home of Alex English.
And to your point too, they are fun to watch. Like, because their style is fun. They move it well. They you know what? They're kind of like a mini Toronto in terms of the ball movement, the spacing, the ability to play without it. Like, that's the other thing they do really well. They've got 3 or 4 guys that are good without the basketball. And by that I mean they're really good cutters and spacers. You know, and that puts a lot of pressure on defense. The hardest thing to guard is the guy without the ball.
And here's the thing about
they're really good at it.
Here's the thing about cutting that just gets lost in the wash all the time. If I'm on the slot and I make a hard cut because my guy is ball watching, you know who's got to pick me up and you're in the corner? The corner man has got to come and get me. Otherwise, have a layup, which allows him to just... So you have to have guys that are willing to give themselves up when their man turns their head and make basket cuts. In Denver, they'll find you. But normally what happens is that that back cut, that basket cut, allows somebody else to step into a wide open shot. But they have a lot of really willing cutters. How many times, you know, great shooters, man, getting them to cut sometimes. Ooh, like pulling teeth, baby. Cut, and they're like, now have somebody else cut. No, I say, hey. And, you know, the rule used to be when we grew up is the guy turns his head, cut. Guy doesn't see you, basket cut.
Right now, it looks like it's official, but not quite yet until the scoreboard hits all zeros. Denver in control of this game. Toronto definitely undermanned in this one. Denver trying to get back on track in the Western Conference as the Clippers have surpassed them in the standings. So, GA, I know you mentioned them not having an additional superstar, but when you have that collective of so many talented players, it's essentially, it turns into, okay, who's going to step up tonight? Mm-hmm. So is that something that could be looked at as an advantage with this Denver team?
It's an advantage, no doubt, but not necessarily against the other three teams. Like, this is a relative argument. This isn't to say that Denver isn't a really good team, because they are a really good team. But the difference is, those other three teams we just talked about, they got all the same kind of collective guys as well. Like, they have those guys. And what will happen in the postseason, you play a team 7 times on the same schedule, coaching matters more. Yeah. And if you have the right personnel, like, we always felt like in the postseason, and Kevin, I'm sure you felt it, like, we can take away your role players and your complementary players. The thing that you could never really stop were the great players. Mm-hmm. And so if you've got 4 great players, you're hard as hell to beat. Yeah. If you got 1, we can live with the 1, but we could take those other guys away. And that's the thing for them. Those guys they're solid players, but in the postseason, when the game's played a lot more 5-on-5, where all the stuff you run we know and we're prepared for, and we're better prepared with each game, that's where those great players make a big difference. Yeah. That's where the LeBrons and the Westbrooks and the Kawhis, those guys change they really change everything, because they can beat great defense consistently. Right. And that's what you got to have in the postseason.
Right now, you're looking at Denver, a lot of guys, you know. But I always said the top teams have a couple dudes that are going to get the job done every single night. Mm-hmm. And then what happens, like, that's why I said the Lakers, to me, with AD and LeBron, now they might be able to do that third best player by committee, which is cool. It's hard to do second best player by committee in the playoffs, you know what I mean? So that's why I want Jamal Murray to really step up and be that guy. But you got Harris, you got a bunch of guys that can do it, you know, but they are a good team. Okay, ask you a question. Last year they finished second in regular season. Didn't make it to the conference finals. No. They don't make it to the conference finals this year. Is it a bad year for the Denver Nuggets?
I would say no.
Okay. You don't think so?
And I don't think it's. You got.
So they get to the second round and lose, and you're cool with their season.
I would be fine with it from this standpoint, because the reality is this: our best player took a step. Yeah. Our other guys, they got a little better, not great, but the reality is, look, I can't fault them for not having that other superstar. Yeah. What did all those other 3 teams do that Denver didn't do? They went out and got a superstar. Yeah. They went out and got it. They didn't develop anybody. They went out and made a big-time trade. I don't know that Denver's in a position yet to want to do that. I don't think it's a feast or famine championship for them the way it is maybe for the Clippers, the Lakers, and arguably the Rockets, right? Yeah. Those teams right now, their window's smaller. And so if I'm Denver, I'm also thinking, look, does Michael Porter Jr. continue to develop? Maybe he becomes that guy. So they're a really young team. Yeah. Really young. They're not like in their late 20s. They're in their early 20s.
Okay, I agree with that. They're young. You finished second in the conference 2 years in a row. Yeah. Second best record in the conference 2 years in a row, and don't get to the finals either one of those years. At what point do you start saying, "Ooh, we're a regular season team"? Yeah. No, we're not a play. I'm just saying, because I like that team a lot. To me, if you're there,
are you going to say that about Milwaukee?
Very good point. Yeah, I mean, very good point.
Amen. I mean,
Denver right now back into the second seed. Of course, they lead the division, so they surpass the Clippers right now back, as you saw the updated standings. But in the meantime, Gary Harris from the Denver Nuggets, who's played extremely well, had 22 points.